Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Arjun. I'm a data science trainer, a lecturer, and an industry practitioner in this field and a mentor to the youth. This is the 11th and the final part in this series of basic R programming course. Before we start, I would like to seek your request to follow me on my socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Just send me a message, DM, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. With that, let us get into today's segment of the course. Okay, let me get my screen here ready. Okay, today we're going to be looking at R programming, right? In terms of data frames, right? So this is one of the most crucial parts of R programming. We're going to be looking at data frames, and data frames are the most commonly used variable, especially for data analytics. So it is a very, very important topic. As I said, this is a basic course, so it's just going to give you some basic idea of data frames. The intermediate and advanced courses will cover data frames in more in-depth, also the visualization portions as well, right? So, and the analytical portions as well. This was statistical analytics and all that, right? So, data frames. So data frame is a table or a 2D array that contains row and column values reflecting a data set. So there are three parts that I'm going to be focusing on today: the basics, how to access data frames, how to modify and update data frames. Okay, so the basics. For the basics, let's just start with the simple version. Okay, so here there's a lot of stuff. So I'm going to be using a lot of copy and paste. So let me explain to you how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to create day of week. Okay, I'm going to copy this and paste it here, right? So that I don't have to type it out. Okay, wind. Again, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm going to look at Outlook and I'm going to copy this all the way till the end, right? I'm going to paste it here, right? So it's basically thunderstorm, thunderstorm, scattered thunderstorm, scattered thunderstorm, 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 right? So there is 7 values in each vector variable, and the final one, weather. In this case, I'm going to get this. So these 4 vector variables that I've created, right, all with different values, okay, how am I going to create a data frame? So I create 4 vector variables: day of week, wind, outlook, and weather. And with that said, I'm going to create a data frame called data. So data frame variable is called data. I'm going to use the data dot frame. So data dot frame is the function. I need to pass in the variables: day of week as the first column, wind as the second column, outlook. These are all list, as in list. These are all vector variables that I'm passing in, not list, right? They're vector variables. And then you can see head data. It will show you, oops, let's see, there's something I missed out in one of my columns. I think I missed out. I think I have a double 6 here, right? And I have multiple 29s here, right? So it's not aligning. Yep. So my bad. I think here as well. I think when I did the copying, I may have typed it wrongly. So when you copy and paste, better be careful, right? So it's 8, 10, 6, 5, 5, 8, 10. So earlier I saw the error because the column did not, the number of rows did not align. Day of week had 7, wind had 8, outlook had 7, weather had 8 as well. So yeah, so that is something like an intentional mistake, so that you all will know that there is some errors, and then I rectify it as well, right? So with that said, this is how the values are. So values 8, 10, 6, 5, 5, 8, 10. Thunderstorm, thunderstorm, I think this one is okay. 32, 30, 29, 29, 29, 27, 28. So you have this value. You won't see the row because the head of data only gives you the first 6 rows by default. Okay. Similarly, when I copy this and when I paste it here, and I copy this data frame as well, and I paste it here, and when I use to find, instead of using head, I use tail of data, it will give me the last 6 rows of the data set. So in this case, it starts on Tuesday. In the earlier case, it starts on Monday to Saturday. Here is Tuesday to Sunday instead. Right. I can also specify which rows I want to extract. So I can do a tail. I can pass in data and 2. So extract the last 2 rows of the data set as well. Similarly, I can also do that for head as well. I pass in data, comma, 2. It will get me the top 2 rows as well. As I said, the default is set to 6. Okay, I can also extract information about the data frame variables. Okay, one way to do that is to use the str and then pass in data. It will give me, sorry, shouldn't be doing it here. It's to do it here, sorry. Str function, str, data. It will give me all the data frame variables, 7 observation of 4 variables, factor, day of the week is a factor variable, win is a num variable, outlook is a factor variable with 2 levels. And so being 2 levels, factor day of the week has a factor with 7 levels. Friday, Monday, Tuesday, as you can see, factor, I covered this before. So Friday is 2, 6, 7, so it's all different. But outlook, again, is a factor variable with 2 levels because there's only 2. Scattered, there's thunderstorm and thunderstorm, right? There's only 2, so it's 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2. So 2, 2 is actually thunderstorm, 1, 1 is scattered thunderstorm, right? If you go back and you look at it, that's how it is. 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2. So it's just how it works. So go back and review the S factor versus vector. There's one segment that I covered. Okay, and then you have win is just a numeric variable 8, 10, 6, 5, 5, 8, 10, and weather is also a numeric variable 32, 30. This is in temperature, right? In Celsius degrees as well. Okay, you can also extract a summary of the data frame variable. To do that, you put a summary, you type summary, and you pass in data, right? And you have all the summary. So summary is basically your descriptive stats. It gives you your minimum, your first quartile, median, mean, third quartile, max as well. So these are very useful information that will help you in your analysis as well, right? Okay, you can also find out the number of rows that a column has using the end row function. Notice I'm not using the print function here because for data frames, the print function makes it doesn't really look good. So if you use data itself as in the data frame, that looks nicer, right? So you have n rows is 7. You can also use your n columns when you pass in the values n, col, data, 4, right? You can also have your row names, right? To extract your row names, it's quite simple. So you can do row names, you can pass in data. It gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's your row names, quite simple. You know, that's basically your indexing itself. And also your call names data as well. So when you run that, it gives you day of the week, win, outlook, weather. Simple, right? Okay, with that said, time for you to do something. Quick practice, right? Assign a vector variable with these values, month of the year, number of events, profile level, registration number. Then create a data frame variable df with data frame with month of year, this number of events, profile level, registration numbers as parameters. Then display the following: number of rows, number of columns, summary, top 2 rows, bottom 2 rows. Simple. Try it out. Okay. Pause the video, try it out. Then, yeah, we'll go through. Yep. So, how do we solve this quick practice problem? So let's go back to. So, how do we solve this quick practice problem? So in this case, we need to create 4 vector variables first. Firstly, month of year. So I'm going to copy this. Okay. Hopefully I don't have any errors. Number of events. I'm going to copy this. And then profile level. going to copy this, and registration number, I'm going to be copying this. Right? Simple as that. Okay, once this 4 vector variables are formed, I can form my df as data dot frame for E, okay, with the values month of year as the first column, number of events as the second column, profile level as the third column, and registration number as the fourth column. If I run this and there's no errors, means it works, right? I can definitely print out my data frame. You can see my data frame, right? All the column values, right? It works perfectly, right? But that's not the question. The question is asking for the output according to the question is end row and column, number of rows, number of columns, summary, top 2 rows and bottom rows. So that's how you use end row for the first one, df, and call for the second one, df, find the number of columns, summary for the third one to provide the summary. Top 2 rows is going to be head, df, comma 2, right, and tail, df, comma 2. Right, when I run this, I get 12 for the number of rows, 4 for the number of columns. This is my summary statistics for each column, right? And then I have the top 2 rows and the bottom 2 rows, right? That's basically it. Okay, with that said, let's move on to the next part. Okay, accessing data frames specific elements. So in order for me to do this, I need to copy my initial set of output. So let me just copy this. It will be very handy because I don't have to retype it again and again. So let me move on to the next part. Right, so basically here it's asking me to create a data frame using vector variables. Okay, so I'm just going to replace this with, because there was some error earlier, right, in terms of my copying. So now it's okay, right? Now it's all same, right? Okay, I can now create a variable data is equals to data dot frame with the 4 column values: day of week, wind, outlook, and weather. Right? I can display the entire data frame as df. Sorry, not df, data. And it works. I have all the values as shown. Right? Simple. Right? But what if I only want the day of week column? Right? What if I don't want everything, but just want the day of week column? Again, I can do it, right? With very little effort, right? Data dot frame, pass in day of week. A bit monotonous really, doing the same thing again and again. But I'm just doing it so that, you know, y'all can follow. Actually, I don't have to do it. I don't have to reinitiate the variable every time. But I just want to make it, you know, complete so that, you know, you're following at every level. You're able to follow this easily. So df subset is equals to data. Okay, notice day of week. So I'm passing in the column name, right? And then I'm going to do a df subset. I'm going to show that out. Class of df subset and my type of df subset. Right, let me run this. You can see that the day of the week it comes out only the day of week column. It's a data frame class, and the type of is of list. Similarly, what if I come out with a different situation, right? Again, the same thing, right? But instead of single brackets, I use double brackets. How will that change my output? So data dot frame, day of, okay, maybe day of week, wind, outlook. Okay, my bell just went off. It doesn't matter. I'm still typing this. Okay, data frame, day of week, wind, outlook, and weather. Right? I can do a df subset data. I put a double bracket instead of single bracket. Day of week. Wait, sorry, there should be a capital O instead of single O. Day of week, right? And then I do a df subset, right? And I want to see how this will differ. So in RStudio, the output will display as character. So there's a slight difference between how the different softwares treat them, right? So class df subset and type of df subset. So just be careful, right? I just want to show you that it's actually very different. So when I do that, you can see that the output is also very different here. And the levels here are, it's showing as a factor and as an integer value, right? So just be careful when you do a double bracket, it gives you something that is very different and it's not of a data frame data type, right? So just be careful on that, and so that you know what you are extracting as well. Okay, with that said, let me copy this, okay, and paste this here. Okay, this is another version. Okay, instead of me creating, sorry, yeah, my mouse again a bit jumpy, right? Instead of me using double brackets, what if I use the $sign, right? What if I use the $sign instead of double brackets? So df subset equals to data, sorry, $sign day of week instead. And then I call out the df subset, and then I do the class df subset, and I do the type of df subset. You can see it's very similar to the double brackets situation, right? So that is why it's very important to understand each and every value whenever we're extracting them, how they play out, and how do you want to use them as well, right? Okay, access using matrix-like approach. So let's use the matrix-like approach, right? I'm not going to reinitiate my variables anymore. You already know what they are, right? So I'm going to skip that part. I'm going to say df subset, because I've already initiated the variables. I've done that a million times, so you should already know, you have already initiated that as well. If I say 1 column 2, so I'm looking at the first row, the first row, right? The first row and column 2, right? So the first row, column 2. So first row is this Monday. Column 2 is the win column, right? And the value is going to be 8. So that is what I'm going to see come out, right? So that's my df subset. So I'm just printing out the whole thing so that you know where this is coming out from. So you can see this is the entire data set. It's only taking out row 1, column 2, which is the number 8. And as expected, number 8 comes out here, right? I can also do a df subset where I don't pass in a column value, right? So I do a df subset. I just do data 1 comma, right? Again, what is it? Nobody knows what this is, right? So let me show you. So it gives you this is the whole data set, data, and it gives you the whole row, right? This time around, it gives you the whole row, not just 1 and 2, not just the value 8. It gives you Monday, 8, thunderstorm, 32. Everything for this whole row comes up, right? Again, similarly, what if I were to show you something else? Instead of 1 comma, I do comma 1. Data, comma 1. Right? I think you pretty much guessed. It's going to give you the entire column value, right? You can actually already predict that is what it's going to do. So I'm going to have the entire column for 1, but it's going to be in a different, as you mentioned, it's going to be in a different format, right? It's going to be in the factor levels, right? So these are something you need to be careful about, how the data comes back, right? Okay, I can also do what we call a logical check as well. I can also do a df subset, right? Df subset, where I do a data $sign day of week, okay, equals to Tuesday, right? Now, when I do data and I do a df subset, this is the whole data set. Sorry, day of week equals to Thursday. Why does it gives me Monday, Tuesday? Something is wrong. Oh, sorry, yeah. S. Typo. Okay, so this df subset, this is what I'm doing, and then I'm calling it out. It says it looks for all the day of week that is in the column and looks for the Tuesday. So Monday is written as false, Tuesday is written as true, Wednesday false, Thursday false, Friday false, Saturday false, Sunday false. So only when it's equals to Tuesday, it gives me back as true. Now, I can actually do what we call a double masking, right? We do use the Boolean masking, right? Not a double masking. We use a Boolean masking, right? So how do we do that? Same thing. We do a df subset, right? Data, $ day of week, double equals to TUSD, Tuesday, TUSD. So data, and then this time around, I do what we call data bracket. I pass in this false, true false value inside with the comma, and I close the bracket and I run this. It gives me only the value for Tuesday because only Tuesday is true. The rest of the days are false, so those don't come out. What if I want the df subset for when the win value is equal to or more than 8, right? Similarly, it'll work the same way, right? So df subset is going to be data $ win, right? More than equals to 8. Okay, so only then it'll give me a true. Same, I just type data, I pass in data, bracket, df subset, comma, close the bracket, and I run. It'll only give me those situations where it's either more equals to 8 or more than or equals to 8, right? So these are the false. Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Other days are less than 8. Okay, quick practice. Assign a vector with these values. I think we already did this before. Display the following: the second column only, the second row only, the row with number of events with equivalence to 2 value, the row with registration numbers less than 5,000 value, the value in column 5 row only. The value in the first column, 5 row only. So that means first column and the 5th row. That's what I mean. Okay. So try it out and we will get to that answer very, very soon. Okay. Okay, how do we address this? So before we want to address this, let me go back and copy this from my previous exercise because I don't want to type it again. Yep, let me just copy this. Okay. Yep, so I need to create a vector variable, month of year, number of events, profile level, registration number with all the values, okay, and this, right? Now with that done, I've already created my data frame, okay? Simply I have to, the second column only. Second column only, basically it's just comma 2, right? That's the only way the second column will come out, right? If I want only row 2, df, open bracket 2, comma, right? That is for row 2, right? That's how it works. So let me put some comments to make it easier. So this is second column. This is second row, right? Just to be clear. So row. So now row with number of events equals to 2, right? So in order to do that, simple df subset. I think this one I covered already, right? df $ number of events equals to 2, right? So it's quite simple. Once you do that, you just have to pass in df subset, comma, that's it, right? That will give you the output for the rows with number of events more than, equals to 2. Now, what if I want the registration number less than 5,000? So that is similar to this. So df subset again. As I said, I've already printed it out. So once I print out, I don't need the value anymore, so I can rewrite it over it and then just call out for it. So df number, registration number is less than 5,000. Right? Again, I just call out df subset, right? Comma, and it should give me those values that are less than 5,000. Right? And finally, I want the value in first column and fifth row is basically, I intentionally change it around, so it's 5, 1. So I hope you understood that difference. So wait, so just let me write some comments here. So this is row with registration number less than 5,000, right? Just to be clearer. And finally, this is the value in first column, fifth row, right? So let me run all this code. I get this 513722. This value is the second column, right? I can actually do a df before this just to verify. So it actually pulls out this whole values. Yes, it's correct. And then the next step is to get out the second row. Yes, this is the second row. It's correct. And then it's to pull out those number of events equals to 2. It also does that. Then after that is a registration less than 5,000, which is these 3 values, right? And then for the last one, registration less than 5 value, and then the value in df 5, 1, my value is May, right? So 5, 1, let's see. Let's go double check that. 5, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The value is May. Right? Simple. With that, let's move on to modifying the data frame specific elements. Right? There are many ways to do this as well. I think I covered this also in large scale. Right? But before that, I need to go back to, the usual, copy the data set I used earlier. Right? Actually, I don't have to reinitiate it, but I'm just doing it because I just want to be consistent, especially for those who are following at different levels, right? So create a data frame based on this, right? All this, okay? And then I create a data dot frame, day of week, wind, outlook, and weather, right? So display the data frame variable data, then change. So it says change the specific column to row 5 to the value 6, and then display data again. Okay, so data, so row 5, column 2, change it to 6. That's it, right? And then I call out data again. Okay, so let me run this. You can see that row 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, initially is 5. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's now 6. So it works, right? Okay, with that said, let's move on and look at other ways of what we have to do, right? You can also do that by specifically just, so you can also do that by changing the value in the column win and row 5 to 6. So the same thing, right? But this time around, I'm going to be doing it slightly different. Another method, right, is change it by data. I pass in row 5, and then I pass in the column name, right, instead of 2, and then I set it to 6, right? I can also print data again. So when I run this, you can see same thing, 5 here, but here it's 6, right? So, yep. So that's another way of how you can change the variables as well, right? You can also use the transform function to transform the data, add with data as the first parameter and setting win to win plus 2. So this is a way where you can add a whole new, add everything with plus 2 for the whole win column. So again, data, right? I'm going to do what we call a transformation. So data, I want to use the transform. Okay, transform data with win equals to win plus 2. So it's going to change all my win values to win plus 2. Just going to add it up, right? So data. So just let's run this again. You'll see all my values have been added to in my win column, right? That's one way of how you can transform a variable. Obviously, there are many ways to do this, but I'm just teaching you some common ways that things are done. Okay, again, in this case, we're going to modify using we're going to create a new sequence variable, and then we're going to switch it around with the transform. So think about this here. Okay, so we're going to do a print out data, and then we're going to create a new variable called new wind, right? And new wind is going to be a sequence of 1 to 7, right? New variable is going to be a sequence of 1 to 7. Data is going to be transform, right? Data, okay, and wind is going to hold the value of new wind, right? And then I call out data again. Now when I run this, you can see that initially my value is all these old wind values. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? So I've changed this entire value. So it's just one of the many ways that you can do transform and all that. Right? So now, moving on. Quick practice for you. Take 5 minutes. Assign a vector variable, month of year with these values, number of events, profile level, registration numbers, create data frame. And you are to modify the following column number of events with value 2 to 26. Increments of 2. You have to do a column registration number increment by 2000 for all values, and column 4 and row 2 value to, that means column 4, row 2 value to 6000. So that's your task. Do it and you will revert very soon. Okay, there's a slight typo, right? This is supposed to be 2 to 24, right? With increments of 2. So just want to clarify that. It's not 2 to 26, it's 2 to 24 because just a typo there, right? 2 to 24. So I want to change the entire number of events column to 2 to 24 rather than 2 to 26 because I have 12. So I want to be like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, like that. Stop, right? I want the values to be, so number of events to be in that format. I know it's pointless, but I just want to try this out. And then the column registration number increment by 2000. Yeah, so I want to increase all the values by 2000, and I want to change this column 4, row 2 value to 6000. So there's only three things you need to do. It's quite simple, right? Just the first one, you need to change the whole column to from the values 2, 4, 6, 8 all the way until 24, right? Yep, try that out. Okay, how do we access this? How do we do this? Okay, in order to solve this, I'm going back to my previous quick practice to pull out my code. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out. Okay, so that I don't have to replicate it again, right? So I created this, display the data frame df, right? So I need to create a new event, new events. This new event is going to be a sequence of 2 to 24, step of 2. That's it. I want to transform my df, and I only want to transform my df, right, with number of events equals to new events, right? That's it. My first part is done, right? My second part is to transform. Again, I'm going to do transform. I'm going to do it to my df. And what am I going to transform? I'm going to change my registration number equals to registration number plus 2000 for all values. Simple. Okay, finally, I want to transform a particular value, or not transform, set a particular value, which is in row 2, column 4. I want to set it to 6000. 6000, and I'm going to display the data frame variable, df, right? Let's run it. You can see this is the initial data frame variable. In the second one, I have changed the entire variable 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 until 24. I've done that. I also want to transform my registration numbers by 2000. So all my registration numbers have gone up by 2000. You can already see that. The earlier ones, let's see. 10,000 becomes 12,000, 10,000 here becomes 12,000. This one just hold on first. I'll explain that later. So 20,000 has become 22,000, 15,000 has become 17,000, so on and so forth. And the reason why the last one, it's instead of 7,000, it's 6,000 is because I remember here I specifically say row 2, column 4, which is this value, actually initially increased as to 7,000, but after I do the shift, I change it again to 6,000, right? So that is why this particular value here is 6,000 instead of 7,000. By right, it should be 7,000 according to the previous one, right? Because at the end there's a code I wrote as df, which is here, right? I wrote this code as df 2, 4 to 6,000. So that overrode the 7,000 and it became 6,000. Okay. With that said, right, we have come to the end of this segment and also the end of this basic R course. I hope you had a good time, right? Please do connect with me and do let me know if you have any comments and whatever, and I will surely get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much.